All right, so we have a little bit prepared for you today that I hope will be a good learning experience. So just a question. How many of you con crunch?
People.
A lot of people. And let's just say that is...
Do you want to con crunch?
Do you want to con crunch? No, you don't. No. So we're here to help a little bit today on how you can organize your new project and nifty little tips and tricks. Boop. Yeah. So you want to make a cosplayer, and first of all, that's awesome because cosplay is awesome. The things that we will talk about today on our overview here is breaking down a cosplay into manageable pieces, because sometimes you pick a project that can seem overwhelming with a lot of things, or might be the opposite.
Seem very simple in the beginning.
But isn't. It's
At
the
all.
opposite, yes. And how you can gather references and sources, materials and tools, and nifty tricks on how to stay on top of your cosplay, as well as budgets, money, and time, because it's smart. Okay. The first one is one costume, several parts. So this one is a character from Fire Emblem, and it is a 2D character, because you have to use your logic in thinking about how fabric and different materials work when it's a 2D character, because you can't always do what you can when you can see them in-game, or,
So now it's just basically how we work with a design and seeing what should go where, what belongs to what is underneath or over each layer, what to make things of, because... So we have no relation to this character, and hence that's
None.
why we picked it, because
Yeah.
we haven't looked at it before.
No, we haven't looked at it
We
at all.
Googled it.
For example, it is what it seems to me to be some sort of a gambeson. And this collar part right here seems to stand up. And one way that you can do that is to either use starch. That is a technique that's been used for centuries. And there's a reason it works, because it does. Or if you don't have starch, you can actually dip your fabric in a wood glue, or you water it out. I did that to my Philippa collar, and it stood all day. As well as, well, you can use sort of, like, what's the word in English? I am from Norway, so excuse me if I forget words.
Wire.
Wire. You can use wire. To just build a frame in here. All right, so to a more familiar character. Last year, Riot wanted me to make this cosplay in 9 days. Yeah, they were like, we need you to make this cosplay, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. When do you need it? And they were like, 10 days?
And not just the cosplay. That was the cosplay with a photo shoot and 4 different videos.
Yeah. So, totally reasonable. So, what I started to do was just look at all the different pieces that makes up Ari's costume. Like the tail, the shorts, the top, the white thing on top of the top, her arm bits, and also tried to figure out at the same time how I was going to make those thigh highs stay on my thigh and not fall down during photo shoots. But I am going to show you, hopefully, the tutorial video that they wanted me to make. Anyway, the cosplay might seem simple, and the thing was, I didn't have much of a reference picture to go on except the splash art. And it was so new that not even the in-game model, the 3D model, was made. So I was like, okay, how does it look from the back side? So, oh, yay, it's back. Okay, good. And also, you see the little gold detailing on her side. They wanted me to make the music video version because that was already out. So, you know, you gotta work with what you have. Anyway, so I decided that I thought that her bodies sort of looked like a, what's the word I'm looking for in English? Latex? No. Yeah, sort of a latex, waxy kind of fabric. And the bodice seemed similar, but I don't know if you actually can see it, but there is a seam in the middle between her thigh, the pants, no, the trousers, the shorts, and the top. So I decided that I didn't want my cosplay to be so flat. So I decided to work with two similar materials just to make it a little more interesting. And as well for the white top. It seemed to me at that time very like stiff and had a certain sparkle to it. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that finding fabrics like that at my local shop is just not happening. So I had to be a little more creative and think about what fabrics I could use that I could manipulate to look like the fabrics that I wanted. So that's what I did. I painted the white one with a pearly silver fabric paint, and that at the same time actually made it stiffer. It was absolutely dreadful to sew in on my machine, but it's fine. I mean, I made it. Also, all of her jewelry and like wristbands and stuff like that is made from a thermoplastic called Warbler that I'm sure many of you know about. And I personally like the black Warbler because it doesn't take as much heat to manipulate it enough. So it sort of reminds me of clay. So that's my personal favorite, but doesn't mean that you will like it, but I do. And what I did to my shoes, actually, I didn't have any black, really high pumps. I had red ones, like really the hookery red shoes. So I painted them black with some spray paint and gold. And for some reason, those gold details you see on, oh, okay, it's drawing here, yes. They are not attached to the shoe. I mean, logic, right? So I had to glue them to my pantyhose. So that's like, just break it down into parts, like the boots, the knee, no, the over highs, the thigh things. Shoes. Stockings, that's the word. Stockings, yes. And the shorts, and the bodies, and the ears, and the jewelry, and stuff like that. And just take parts at a time. It's just much easier and might not be so overwhelming for you guys later when you're gonna start making the different parts. And one thing that I haven't talked about is knowing your strength. And I mean, it's totally fine to reach out and learn new skills.
Or ask for help.
Or ask for help.
Researcher things.
Yes, research is like, I always say that it's 90% of the job. I see that you're sitting there nodding and you're like, yes. Because I cannot tell you enough how many hours a cosplayer, at least we, sit in front of the computer or on our phone and just researching different fabrics, different photos, headhunting images from the backside of things. That's
Backsides, angles, indoor light, outdoor light, studio light, filter light, all the things.
all the things. And there are some useful sites that we have found that maybe some of you have heard of, and maybe some of you haven't. But there is a site called Far, Far Away site. You know it. And they have really, really, really high quality close-ups of Game of Thrones, other TV series, as you see on the list. Once Upon a Time, the originals, Outlander, Doctor Who, like, yeah. Let's just go into Game of Thrones. And there's, of course, a picture of Marjorie, because why not? And this one really helped me when I was trying to build my first screen-accurate Marjorie. But yeah, here you can see that she has actually a quite thick hem on her skirt. And that tells me that, since I can see it, that fabric is really, really sheer. And now I actually found that fabric, and I bought it.
And it's the devil.
And it's the devil. It is the devil.
It's metallic chiffon.
Yeah, silk chiffon. So when I was going to cut it, I was like flicking it to lay it flat on my floor, and it just like floated away. So you can use similar fabrics, like raw silk. For this, has the same kind of texture, and probably not so expensive as that one was. And you can also see that on the seams of her skirt, there is tiny little like stay stitches. And I didn't see that, but now I know that they are there. So I remade my skirt once because I knew that they were there, and that the skirt is an 9-paneled circle skirt, because, yeah, research. Also, hairline and wigs. You can see, now go up to her widow's peak. I mean, you can see where they glued the hair down. That's how good this site is, with HD pictures of it. And yeah, I mean, if you want to be like me and have like the moles where they have the moles, this is also a good site for that. But you don't have to be like me on that. All right.
It's healthier not to be.
It's much healthier not to be, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. And there is, of course, the genius side of Pinterest. Many of you probably use Pinterest to gather pictures and stuff.
But if you don't, do.
Because it is really useful to just make like albums. And yeah.
If you are looking for a pin, someone has pinned it.
Yep. So I just use it for like mood boards and inspiration, and gathering a lot of references. Pinterest now also has the ability you can sort your things. And when I started with Pinterest, you couldn't do that. That's why mine is slightly messy. But I'm getting there. But I have a lot of pins.
Google!
I don't know of anyone who is better at Google Foo than you are. When I was when I was making my Eowyn costume, I really wanted the screen-accurate trim on her green dress, and I don't know how you did it.
Found them.
But she found them. They were discontinued, so then again I bought them in silver and I painted them gold. But that's what you do. So, as well as the most random thing was when she was searching for a corset fabric for a can you just
The Tudors?
the Tudors? Yeah. I was. Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, it was a picture because you wanted a screen-accurate corset from the series. And hello. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, nodding. Yeah. That is good. And I stumbled upon the fabric. I was like, oh, that looks familiar. Really, really familiar. And I found it.
Yeah, it was the screen-accurate fabric for Natalie Dormer's character Anne Boleyn's corset fabric. And I still have no freaking clue on how you managed to do that, but we found it. And I'm gonna have it. Anyway, so another side that I have been using a lot these couple of weeks is Hollywood movie costumes and props. The longest, yeah. Here there are like exhibition photos from movies. Unfortunately, this side didn't have any picture of Carol Danvers' outfit until at least a week and a half or more after the movie came out. So I had to like go into Instagram and headhunt pictures from her from the backside because again. But anyway, they are quite high quality and they have, so to say, almost every angle you can want from an exhibition of a costume. But yeah, so I was really happy when Captain Marvel was available here. And then it wasn't very long until the Replica Prop Forum also had them in bigger quality. So thank God for that. But yeah, this is the cosplay that I am making right now that I wanted to finish, but I was like this close. And then my friend who makes the hard parts, he got the cold. So, yep. Perfect timing for that. But this side is really, really, really good for those kind of things. And for games, there is a site that's called ArtStation. Have you heard about it? Yeah, okay, good. Everyone? No, okay, not everyone. And that has really high qualities of in-game references. At least CD Projekt Red has released many of theirs there.
Often do game design, like the actual designers of the game post their art there.
Yep.
So it is official.
Yep.
But there is also fan art and all such.
Yep. But ArtStation is really good. And they also put up like cosplay kits there for cosplayers. So that was really helpful when we were working on Triss and Yennefer. All those years ago.
All those years ago.
But yeah, many of the games will also, of course, link cosplay guides on their actual page. I think that this is quite new, though. Not many gaming industries.
CD Projekt Red has done it. I know there is some for Assassin's Creed and Dragon Age.
But more and more gaming companies release these kind of things, but they haven't always been there.
But we love them for it.
Yeah, we do. But the thing with Triss, when I was making her leather bodice, was, again, it is very difficult for that kind of thin leather to behave like it does, and at the same time be embossed Yeah. And I had to figure out with my own tools that I had available to me right there and then, and that was definitely not leatherworking tools. So I read somewhere that woodworking works on leather.
Woodworking tools.
Woodworking tools. So the way that I made my tris bodice was with a
Solder iron.
soldering iron. Yep, I just love how you're just nodding with everything. And that actually worked great for me because then I could use a leather that I found to be just as logically thin hers was. The way that she moves when she is wearing this corset just tells me that it is definitely not thick leather to be, embossed with. That jacket actually proved to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Mostly because of the fabric, actually. Because it needed, to me, that fabric actually looks a little bit like linen, but it is an iridescent linen. Because, texture looks like linen, but it needed to be coated with something to make it look like it was iridescent between green and yellowish and a deep kind of blue. So I knew that if I was going to be looking for that fabric, I would actually look for years to find something similar to that. So I ended up with an
upholstery fabric.
An upholstery fabric, yeah, because it was woven thick enough, but it was also quite
texturized.
Yeah, and light, and it had the right amount of green and blue sheen. So, yeah.
Woo.
It was very expensive.
Communities.
Yes.
For more established fandoms, there are a lot of cosplay communities and costume communities. Mm-hmm. The best example we could think of was Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, because for Star Wars you have the entire 501st and Rebel Legion.
Also, yeah, Padawan's Guide. Yes, another one that we didn't think of. But I think there's just always some sort of communities out there. And if you're into somewhat of historical fashion in movies and in TV series, this one is a good site. They list everything in eras. So if you're working on something Victorian.
Jane Austen.
Or Jane Austen, yeah.
Regency.
Mm-hmm. Again, you didn't push. Yep.
Regency.
But yeah, it's a good side if you want pictures of movie costumes. All right.
Social media.
Yeah, I told you when I was headhunting with the hashtags on Instagram. Yeah, I did that for Captain Marvel because I needed to see the back of her. But it proved to be really hard, but at the same time, I found some pictures, as well as when the new Frozen trailer were just released. That time that I wanted to make Elsa.
There are also like costume communities on Facebook. There are
And Instagram.
Tons of them.
Yeah.
Others that we just wanted to mention is like art books, official art books. There's an art book for almost every game that comes out, from many series and comics. Mm-hmm. Actual comics, go back to the source reference. You can also, if you're gonna cosplay from a movie, put on the movie and watch. Don't just look at pictures, because we do that sometimes. Like, I can't see any pictures from the back. And then why don't we just go watch the movie?
We have the movie. Can we just put on the movie? And yes, historical references. Jane. When I wanted to make Jane, I needed it to look somewhat more historical than Disney wants it to be, because, yeah. So I decided that I was going to use these pictures as a reference, but I decided that I wanted to make this dress with authentic historical patterns from 1886 to 89, because...
The costume designer has gone out and said what they were inspired by.
Yeah, and they also pinned the year to be 1884. So I was like, okay, maybe Jane is out and about in 2 years, like before everyone else, but yeah. But let me just say that fashion in 1884 did not look like that. It looks more like this, 1886, yeah. And as well, they decided to give her the Gibson hair, the Gibson girl hairstyle for some reason. And that is turn of the century, people. Yeah. Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. What do you want?
So yeah, that was a little bit on historical references. So Martina here is very, very, very good at finding, as I said, fabrics.
I am good at the internet.
She's good at internet. Okay, but some sites that you can look for fabrics is eBay. I must say that I don't use eBay very much, but sometimes I do. Etsy is probably the page that I use the most for almost everything that I want, and it's easy enough to find the things that you need.
It's a good search engine.
Yep. Your local store. Don't underestimate your local store.
We have one back home, and it is mostly aimed at people that refurbish their furniture and
have
people that
babies.
have babies. So a lot of jersey and stuff like that. And
yeah.
so we have to make do with a lot. Like you said, for the KDA, we paint fabric. We try to make leather, like faux leather, less shiny. Then you can use dry shampoo or hairspray. Like many things you can do, because we are really limited. And so whenever we come to the UK, we stock up. So
we have an extra suitcase to buy fabrics.
And bring home.
And bring home with us.
Because we do that.
Yep. And of course, Amazon. Amazon has a lot of good things.
But if you're looking for something really specific, then spoon flour is quite useful. Because then you can get the... you can design your own fabric.
Yep.
So you can have everything printed on cotton or polyester or silk.
Velvet, actually.
And velvet. And you choose your color and your print or whatever.
Yeah, it's really smart. There's also quite a lot of dupes for Game of Thrones fabrics there. And they are actually decent.
Thermoplastics. You can get that also on eBay or on Amazon or specialized shops everywhere. There are some here.
Yep.
You can go look.
You can go over there and get them.
Talk to them.
But yeah, there was a time in Norway when we just could not get Warbla or foam really that was high enough quality to actually withstand the heat that you need to mold them. All right. Also, of course, you have a very important part of your cosplay, and that is wigs. I have recently...
You like pose wigs?
I like pose wigs. Yeah, you do too, apparently.
Use code Santatory 10 for 10% off. Dimples 10.
Yeah.
Pin curls?
Pin curls 10.
Pin curls.
Anyway, you don't, of course, always have to use a lace front with your costumes, but if you have a character that has some sort of a pulled back updo or something in the front, it will, I'm sorry guys, it will just look better with the lace front. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. But you don't have to. But I sort of recommend that you do. But you don't have to.
Also always need to see if it's heatproof.
Yeah.
That is more
check
important.
if your synthetic hair wig is heat safe.
It's okay not to have like lace, but you need it to withstand the heat you're gonna use if you're gonna style it.
Yep. And of course, the site that I used a lot before I turned to pose wigs is Wig is Fashion. And I to this day, I like them a lot. Arda, of course. Oh, that was a very Norwegian accent.
Arda?
Arda?
Arda Wigs.
They have a lot of good wigs for anime characters to be styled from.
Because they have really thick wigs.
Really, really thick wigs. And eBay.
And
Don't
Amazon.
underestimate eBay or Amazon. You can find really good, really cheap wigs on those sites. Okay, so this is the thing that is, at least now, very important to me, because I didn't used to organize any of the cosplays that I started to make, and that just, in the end, bit me in the butt.
This is part of the con crunch curse.
Yes, the con crunching. So, what I have started to be a really huge fan of right now is just making lists. Lots and lots of lists. And my favorite app right now is
Evernote.
Evernote. And it's sort of nice. You can, like here, I have my Captain Marvel, and you can put your pictures in and make your little lists, and you can tap it when it's done. Just listing and staying on top of the list can make your cosplay a lot more easy and organized.
Also, it's very motivational to cross off things of said list.
I love it. Like, oh yes, I did that today,
Yes,
and
so
I did this today.
Point one of every list. Make
Yes,
a list.
make a list. Make a list. Mhm. But of course, in the start, it will look very overwhelming. Because then you will actually be reminded of, oh my God, I have so many tiny things that I need to get done. But you know what? When you start actually doing the things on your list, you're going to be able to hook off like at least 4 or 5 parts in a day when you're working with it. And that's just really rewarding to see that you're doing the thing. You're making the thing. And that at least makes me very happy. There are other apps that you can use, like GoodNotes. Oh. And this one I made myself. It's just a simple bullet journal, really, that I downloaded. And then I can put in my elements. And sorry if you cannot read my lovely handwriting. But it's like, with the elements of this one, I see that it's milkmaid blonde hair with crystals. And for the top, I can put in that it's a mesh kind of fabric. And a corseted bodice with crystals and glitter. And skirts with streaks in silver and a split. And a cape with snowflake patterns. And then...
Basic.
And then I will go in and break it down a bit more. Like, I see that it is a scoop neck. And it is a sweetheart corset. And a skirt with a train. And then I just make my own little notes underneath that of more details. You have a Cosplanner. How many of you use Cosplanner? Okay, good. Good. I used to use Cosplanner a lot, but that was until I learned that they haven't updated their thing since 2015. So there is a new app called CosFlowy that is actually pretty good.
Google Docs and Excel are pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You make the layout as you wish. Right now, I think that they have quite a lot of templates that you can use if you have it.
Yep. And of course, there is Pinterest again, because you can make albums in Pinterest. All right, so
Or back to
when
the
you
basics.
have started planning your said cosplay, there is some basic tools that you might need to make that said cosplay. And just ask yourself, what are you making? A basic sewing machine is something a cosplayer really should have. You don't need an expensive one, but let me tell you that hand sewing things,
That's
unless
okay
you're
too.
into that, that's totally fine, is time consuming. I don't have that amount of time. So, but then again, I also have 6 different sewing machines. So what you can do with a sewing machine is obviously sew new things. And you can modify your bought items.
7. We have 7 sewing machines.
7 sewing machines. We use like 2. But you never know when you might need a fuff from 1971 to sew heavy jeans, because those are all made of metal. But yeah.
So no matter if you are a cosplayer that sews all new stuff from the bottom up, like we often do, it's also useful for modding things that you just buy in the store. Oh, these look perfect. There are pants. I need shorts. Cut them off. Sew them up.
Yep.
You need a sewing machine.
You just do. Okay. It will save you a lot of time. And equipment for thermoplastic is a heat gun, not a hair dryer. Come on. Just get a heat gun. It's cheaper than a hair dryer, really.
Oh, it is.
It is. Some good scissors or cutting things. That is.
I don't know what's in English.
Then what are you looking for?
Tapetkniv.
X-Acto knife.
No, that's not the same.
Like the little knife that you can break off and put in new things. You know which one. Craft knife. Yeah. You can just come up here and hold our panel with us.
Okay, craft knife.
Yeah.
They get dull really fast.
Yeah,
but you
but
can
craft
just...
knife is nice. And work surface, because this one is also a thing that I discovered when we had linoleum floors, and we were working with Worbla. And I was like,
and
darling,
Worbla sticks to plastic.
It's
and
stuck in the floor.
is plastic. So that was fun.
That was
to
fun.
find out. Like,
so
hitting it on the floor and then trying to get it up, and they would not budge.
God, it was an experience.
Wood is a good surface.
Yeah, wood is a good surface.
Wood is a good surface.
Yeah, or some sort of a wax paper underneath is even better.
Like baking sheets.
Yep.
Paper sheets.
And also, actually, like those metal foil that you can use to wrap your food and stuff in, because it will keep the underneath layer of the Worbla warm whilst you're working on the top. So it's quite nice. Also, glue.
Friend.
Glue is your friend. Either if it's to glue on pieces that you can't sew on or something, just use glue. It's fine.
When we sew in leather is sometimes being a little bitch, because when you poke a hole in it, that hole does not go away.
Oh, it's
so
sticks
you
there.
cannot use pins on leather. So when we have to make seams in leather that you have to top stitch down, we fold it out and we glue it in place, and then we sew.
Yep.
Because that works.
Get a good fabric glue. Yeah.
Fabric glue, because you can't use anything, no clips or anything to access that part of the thing.
But you want it to stay in place, so just use
Glue.
a glue that is somewhat sort of not elastic, but like bendable. It like you can work with it without it crackling afterwards.
Flexible.
Flexible. All right, and
Useful tools
Useful
that you
tools.
don't need, but are good. Different types of cutters and scissors. For example, pinking shears.
yeah. If you don't have a serger or a machine that can like ham or like what's the word?
Ziggy-zaggy.
The ziggy-zaggy on your seams to
you-
make it not fray.
Or if you don't want to use ziggy-zaggy, because sometimes ziggy-zaggies take away the stretch of your fabric.
Yeah.
And it doesn't...
Anyway, so
Hamming
just
Then you
a pinking shear.
Then you can just use pinking shears instead of finishing
Your seam.
your hems.
Yeah. And also a little note when it comes to pinking shears. They have been used for a long time
It's a
when they
technique.
didn't have the ability to like finish
Fray
off
check.
the seam.
Fray check.
Fray check.
Fray. So
Yes.
the fabrics don't fray.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
English.
yeah. So the fabrics don't fray. Anyway, pinking shears, not a must, but it's very useful. A serger machine, we have one. I think I've used it like 10 times maybe.
We have 2.
And there is access to a 3D printer, if you want, a laser cutter.
A 3D printer, preferably with a friend that knows how to operate said 3D printer.
Yep. Airbrush. Airbrush is nice,
But paint is okay.
but paint is okay. Yeah. And an embroidery machine, so you don't have to embroider by hand unless you want to, then that's fine too.
It's soothing.
It's very soothing and nice. A Dremel. A Dremel is nice to like make smooth lines and curves and stuff.
And finishing sides of craft foam and whatnot.
And a dress form. And then there is, of course, different pins, needles, and clips. Different needles for your sewing machine, depending on what fabric that you're going to sew. And I work in a sewing shop, and every day I get people coming in wondering, they just need a simple needle that goes to everything. And I'm like, there is no such thing. Just a simple rule is the thinner the fabric, the thinner the needle. The thicker the fabric, the thicker the needle. It's not really that.
And there are leather needles, but only for leather. Because
Yep.
leather needles are knives.
They have a knife tip. They cut everything. Just don't use your leather needles on anything else in leather. Okay, and then you have actually pins, no, needles, sorry, pardon my English, for jersey and stretch. They are not the same. I saw your face.
What?
Because jersey is a knitted woven kind of fabric, and you want a jersey needle because what that needle is going to do, it's called a ballpoint needle, is that it's going to push the fabric, the threads in the fabric apart. If you use a stretch fabric for that, which is really sharp and thin, you are going to destroy parts of your fabric when you're sewing it. So just use the right type of needles for the right type of fabric. You will be happy when you're sewing if you do that. And then we have the clips, like crabby clips, like for quilters, because sometimes you don't want visible needle pokings
Clips.
in, clips. They're really smart, and they are actually super strong to hold all of your thick leather parts together, or all of your really thin fabrics together.
Know your equipment. There are tutorials for everything.
Everything.
Look for tutorials, because there is one. No matter what you're looking for, there is a tutorial.
Someone has probably already done it, or something similar that you can incorporate into your own cosplay.
Isn't that one of the rules of the internet? If you think of it, someone has thought it before you.
Probably, yeah. And
Google your stuff.
Google, just use Google. I mean, how do I do this thing? And then someone has done that thing for you.
You have to try your equipment before you go to the real thing.
Yeah.
It seems really basic knowledge, but it's really easy to think though, no, this will be fine. It won't be fine, basically.
No.
Try. If you think you're going to use this seam on this fabric, try it before you sew in your actual thing.
Yep, I have done that,
If
or
you-
not done that several times.
Yeah?
And
How did it end up?
let's just say that I cursed a lot.
Also, when it comes to different types of paint on different types of things, if you are painting fabrics, or you're painting craft foam, or you paint Worbla, what sort of primer should you use? What sort of pre-work shoes, all of those different things. It's very necessary.
Yeah. I don't know if you have that in Britain, but you probably do. For foam, there is a really, really good spray paint that's called Plastidip.
Plastidip.
Plastidip, because it is flexible. And if you make some sort of armor or whatever in foam, it is flexible. So you want some sort of paint that will be flexible with your said product, because it will just crackle away and flake off if you are very unlucky.
Also, different types of glue. We don't have glue that goes with foam in Norway.
No, we don't.
We don't have it. We don't have, what is it? Something
something cement, like. Yes.
Yeah, we don't have it.
We don't have it.
We don't have it.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, it is. We don't. It is super duper frustrating. We have this glue now, though, called Gorilla Glue.
It's pretty good.
But it's pretty good, but it isn't flexible.
Cosplay doesn't have to be expensive.
No.
Basically.
Yeah,
You don't need that silk that is 50 pounds a yard. You can buy...
But I want it.
You can buy the polyester sort of similar thing look like. We discovered also that the, I don't know if it's this in English, but we call it isole.
Isole?
It's sort of a jersey-ish thing, and the wrong side of it looks exactly like wool.
It does. Like really high quality wool.
Yeah,
So
like fuzzy.
and like 1/10 of the price. So use fabric on the wrong side, people.
No,
No, not like fleece, but similar, but not quite.
The stuff you make, like jumpers are made out of, or snuggle pants. Yeah.
Yeah, ish, but yeah.
Yeah, so the wrong side of that looks like wool. So,
And it is okay to buy your cosplay.
if you want to cosplay, but you don't feel like you want to sew a cosplay, buy
one.
your cosplayers.
It's fine.
Making a cosplay does not make you a cosplayer. Wearing the cosplay makes you a cosplayer.
Yeah. It's so true. So if you want to make a cosplay, make a cosplay. If you want to buy a cosplay, then buy one. And just have fun, okay?
The most fun you've had in cosplay in years is when you wore your bought Captain Marvel cosplay that you had for the movie premiere.
And that's when I realized that I wanted to make it.
So you bought
So I bought.
leather to make it.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little chat. And if you have any questions at all, or just want to come talk to us, we're right over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, nice. Oh, thank you.